Hey there, Wicked Title folks. It's Cheryl here, your closing chaos navigator, escrow account bodyguard, and occasional therapist for processors on the brink. And today we're talking about payoffs. Not the kind you get for surviving another 12-hour closing day. I mean the kind that slows you down, burns your team out, and might be the most overlooked money leaking process in your whole workflow. So grab your iced coffee or whatever's in your Yeti. I won't judge. Let's talk about why the payoff process is still a mess in 2025 and what you can do besides just yelling at your screen and hoping it magically shows up. So let's start with this. Title agents aren't overworked because we do too much. We're overworked because too much of the same thing has to be done twice, or 3 times, or 7, especially when it comes to payoffs. You request the payoff, you don't get it, you follow up, it's missing information, you re-request, you finally get it, but now it's expired and closing has changed dates. Rinse, repeat. And all that rework? It's not on the client's radar, but it's burning time and mental bandwidth. Most agents don't realize they're losing time measured in hours each month just ordering and managing payoff statements. That's not hyperbole. That's what happens when every lender has its own magical workflow from the year 2003. So let's talk about the 3 silent killers in your payoff process. If you've ever ended your week feeling like your brain was fried, but you couldn't explain why, this might be it. The first one is death by portal. Some lenders want a fax, others want an email, some want a proprietary portal that only works on Internet Explorer 6. And yes, it's still out there, and some of you still have it on your computer. Your team wastes hours just figuring out how to send the request. The next one is authorization ping pong. Borrower didn't sign the form or sign the wrong version or sent it from an AOL account and the PDF came through upside down. So now you're explaining for the 3rd time that no, you can't just call the lender and ask nicely. And your 3rd silent killer is the verification vortex. Payoff comes in, but now you have to check the wire instructions, verify them, retype the per diem into your system, hope you didn't transpose a digit, and double check that the good through date hasn't come and gone. And somehow, even when you do all of that, you still feel like you're missing something. So let's talk about payoff automation. Here's the thing. Automation, it's not new. You've been pitched automation solutions before, and half of them just moved your mess into a new login. But Closinglock's new payoff automation feature sounded promising, so that's why I spent time asking the tough questions to the folks at Closinglock. I wanted to know, does this actually solve the problem, or is it just repackaging it in prettier software? Erin Koops and Tori Clark were kind enough to jump onto a Zoom call and answer everything, even in the midst of Erin's last-minute vacation packing. So here's what stood out. First, they're not pretending to be magic. They admit lenders are still a manual mess, but they've taken the time to fully understand the process and your pain. And they've built smart workflows around that reality and leveraged AI and technology to make your job easier. They tracked the full journey from borrower authorization to lender submission to verified and insured payoff delivery. They're delivering the whole process. And they're using notifications to actually nudge your team when something's off, rather than just passively sit there like a glorified Dropbox. Plus, you get audit trails and receipts because title people don't like surprises unless it's free food at the office. And if that weren't enough, they're automatically verifying the wire instructions and ensuring the whole shebang. In Erin's words, we wanted to take a lot of that friction out of the process. This is the first time the title agent doesn't have to be the one tracking all of it. And honestly, that might be the biggest deal of all. So what should you be tracking? Whether you use Closinglock, a different tool, or your own Excel wizardry, Here's what I want you to track for 1 month. How long does your team spend chasing payoffs? How often are you re-requesting them? How many payoff wires are delayed because of timing or errors? And how often do borrowers ask, wait, what's this form again? If you don't like the answers, that's your sign. Because burnout doesn't always come from one big issue, it comes from 1,000 small inefficiencies that you've been tolerating for years. So here's your takeaway. If you're drowning in last-minute payoff drama, don't just slap another checklist on it. You need a tool or a process that gets borrowers' information securely, submits to the lender using their actual process, follows up automatically, flags missing data early, verifies the wire, and stores your paper trail. And Closinglock's new feature, it does all of that. Plus, that insurance, sweet bonus. And it might just give your team a chance to go home on time and remember what dinner tastes like. Well, that's it for today's episode of Wicked Title Folk. I'm Cheryl, your voice of reason in a wicked title world. For a deeper dive on the whole subject, including more behind-the-scenes details straight from the Closinglock team, check out the article I wrote in the Wicked Title Forum archive. If this was helpful, forward it to your processor, your escrow assistant, or your favorite underwriter, or even that friend in compliance who still faxes things just in case. If you're not already subscribed, go fix that. I've got more episodes coming on reducing losses from cancellation, crazy closing horror stories, and more tips and tricks to running a better agency straight from the mouth of industry insiders. Until next time, stay wicked, stay on top of those payoffs, and go check out Closinglock. Not only do they help keep the lights on here, they're actually pretty awesome. P.S. Closinglock worked with Viking Sasquatch to create this automation, and they may or may not have hidden a message on the Viking Sasquatch website. The first person to find it and DM me with a translation will get a little prize.